Mental illness is a complex issue that most people will have to deal with in their lifetimes. Approximately 1 in 5 people will have some form of mental illness over the course of their lifetimes. In particular, we have a lot of issues with mental illness and its portrayal in media, which then exacerbates the problem that as of right now, we as a general viewing public tend not to quite understand the sufferings and nuances of said mental illnesses. Now, mental illnesses are just any sort of psychological or neurological disorder that can behave the way you think, feel, or behave. And these can manifest in many different forms. One of the issues of mental illness portrayed in media is the fact that it's just mental illness and not the specific nuances of each individual disorder, and doesn't particularly go into depth in explaining how the disorder affects the particular people that are portrayed in it when it is rarely portrayed. More often than not, it is portrayed by white male characters and the occasional female character, with the female characters oftentimes being unfortunately sexualized and the male characters oftentimes either being portrayed as just flat out villainous and to some degree either charming villains or even sympathetic ones, such as in the movies such as Psycho, Silence of the Lamb, Halloween, and other such thrillers that involve psychological killers. These films also will oftentimes have poor portrayals of them or only show one specific side of a disorder. And these disorders will rarely properly represent the diverse spectrum that each disorder can affect. Oftentimes, things such as schizophrenia will be portrayed as both audio and visual, meaning you can both see and hear in clear, crisp vision the specific delusion the person is having. And while that might seem like a logical thing to portray in a film, it actually tends to be quite inaccurate to the actual experiences of those suffering from schizophrenia. More often than not, schizophrenia is a particular disease that manifests in blurry visuals or audio hallucinations, which is just hearing things. Furthermore, a lot of films will throw around and combine and conflate certain mental illnesses. The movie Psycho is called Psycho when, in fact, the main character, the main man who the film's title is referring to, it does not actually suffer from a form of psychosis, but from multiple personality disorder. And this particular multiple personality disorder is a rather strange case rather than the norm of what actual people with multiple personality disorder go with. Another multiple personality disorder portrayed in films is the movie Fight Club, where the main narrator continuously interacts with their other persona and will oftentimes suffer bouts of amnesia, not knowing that the other person is just a mental disorder created by themselves. When in actuality, most of the time, people with multiple personality disorders are aware of their other personalities and remember what they do. Although bouts of blackouts and amnesia do happen, they happen rarely, and oftentimes it is very, very rare for someone with multiple personality disorder not to be alerted to this fact. Beyond that, there is just a general portrayal of, in media, of people with mental illness as violent, beyond help, too easily helped, or even just flat out inappropriately shown as what they are. And beyond that is the fact that oftentimes treatment is portrayed very poorly as well, either portraying it as too easy and quick with not enough actual focus on what really makes treatment work, which is usually a combination of a strong support system, proper medication, and many, many trips to the therapist. It is or it is demonized to the point of absurdity. And while there are many issues in the mental health community, demonizing therapists is not the way to make it better, and if anything makes people with any sort of neurological disease or general mental health disorder feel afraid to come to someone that could possibly be helpful to them. Overall, the portrayal of mental illness in media is detrimental to people actually suffering, as it either makes them look like charming, cold-hearted killers, or seductive, insane stalkers, or any other form of unpleasant, villainous, or victimized persons. And rarely is it shown in the actual brutal difficulties that it is, and how much a person has control over being able to move past it if given the proper means to. Making mental illness a terribly represented disorder in media, and making it very important for the viewing audience to recognize these facts in the media they consume and demand better of the people portraying such things in media.